Usually I get to use this. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. We had a technical problem. Thank you for your patience. So our next speaker is Ronen Bar. He's a co-founder and executive director of the organization Sentient, and an accomplished investigative journalist who turned into a dedicated animal rights activist. Ronen founded an investigation team that is called Anonymous for Animal Rights, but at the moment is called Animals Now, and worked as an undercover investigator. So in this presentation, we will unveil the innovative camera on animal, which is a tool that offers insight into obtaining vital footage from inside slaughterhouses without being physically present or possessing investigative expertise. Please welcome Ronen Bar.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks. I want to start with a 50-second video footage from the camera on animals. It's not very graphic. Also, we didn't put the most graphic stuff because Facebook will censor it. So I think you can watch everything, but again, some people here are sensitive. So if you are sensitive and it can make you really upset, we talked about burnout and stuff like that, please close your eyes. I will tell you when the video will finish. It's only 50 seconds. Okay, so if everyone is sensitive, I really advise don't watch it. Now we start. That's it. The video finished. So you can open your eyes. No, it was in the right page, I think. Yeah. Okay. So let me tell you just very, very quickly about Sentient, the organization that I manage. So we're a non-profit, a meta non-profit. Meta means we're working to help animal rights activists. That's our main work. And we're trying to create tools that will help activists, that will enhance their activism. And now, currently, we're focusing on the investigative space because this is a space we know well. By the way, do you hear me? Do I need to be further away? It's good? Okay. It's a space we know well, but it can be tools from any space that helps activists. So if you have ideas, please, you'll have the email, my email at the end of this session. You're welcome to send me any suggestions that you have. Think that you have a team of engineers, a team of people that can build the best tools for you, that can upgrade, that can enhance your activism. We also execute undercover investigations. You just saw one example in Israel and abroad and all over the world. And most of our investigations are in collaboration with other organizations. So that's very shortly about Sentient. And now let's get into the Camera on Animal project. First, a legal disclaimer. All the use of methods, tools, technologies, and information provided in this training must follow local and international relevant laws. All the risks, and there are not only legal risks, also some security risks, are on you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more further down the road. Okay, so what is the Camera on Animal project? First, we call it the COA. COA stands for Camera on Animal. It's a project that allows activists to place a camouflaged small cellular camera on the body of an animal, creating a new personal point of view. So it means that you're putting a camera, which is camouflaged, on the back of the animal, and you're watching everything that's happening to this animal far away. You can be in another country, right? It's cellular reception. Your location doesn't mean anything. and you get it live streamed to your smartphone or to a computer. It utilizes a simple 4G remotely controlled surveillance camera that enable its users to document with relatively small effort, otherwise unattainable targets. So the video you just saw was filmed by 8 individuals. It's funny to say I didn't film it, like we're saying we did this investigation. No, it's not an investigation by Sentient. It's an investigation by those animals, right? The camera was on them. Practically, they are the ones filming, not us. So the video you saw, the 50 seconds, is 8 different individuals. It includes footage from the largest abattoir in Israel, an abattoir which is inaccessible. If there is no other method that you can film there, it's a dangerous place. And this camera on animal method enabled us to film inside there. And it documents the animals' final day, so we captured their drive in the trucks, the abattoir pens, the slaughter line. We even got after slaughter. We didn't show it in the 50-second video, but we even got after slaughter. What are the advantages that we see in this method? First, it requires relatively basic skills. You don't need to be an undercover investigator. You don't need to have any special abilities to infiltrate places or to use cover stories or something like that. Relatively simply, being very far away from an abattoir or from the place that you want to film in, you can place a camera and get footage from within the most well-guarded places, potentially. It can be easily combined with practices that activists are already doing. If some of you are already in contact with animals during their last day, but it doesn't have to be. It also can be animals not in their last day of life. You can use this method, and it can be combined with what you're already doing. The media can cause increased media attention because it's something new and it's a new way of showing the voyage of the animals. Of course, it's very country specific. So, for example, in Israel now, because of all the things that's going on, it's very hard to get any media attention about animals. So, but it's very country specific. It gives you a story about an individual. I think that's a very important point. For me as a journalist, I always told stories about a practice, about a certain facility, about an industry, but it was never about an individual, with a name, with a specific story. And I think this is the option to tell such stories. When I learned journalism in Israel, one of my first assignments was like you had to pick a topic and write about it. And I said, I want to write about factory farming. And the teacher said, no, you cannot, because you don't have anyone to interview. You cannot. Sorry. They don't talk our language. So for me, every camera is an interview, because I follow the animal for 6 hours, for 7 hours. It can be less, it can be more. You get attached to it. It's like you're having an interview with her, and you notice the small nuances. It creates a special bond between the activist and the animal. So I worked undercover in abattoirs and slaughterhouses abroad and in Israel. I didn't get to feel such a connection to an animal as I did watching him from afar on my smartphone live. It can be a very intensive experience also. You're with him, you're in the slaughter line, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know where they're going to kill him. It's an intensive experience, but it creates some kind of a connection. You can say the footage is more objective, right? Because we didn't film it. It's not like I chose the angle, right? They say, oh, those animal rights activists, they're always filming the bad stuff intentionally, etc. Yeah. Disadvantages. It involves risks. We'll talk about some of the risks, a little bit of them today. The footage we found it more emotional than informative. Now, we placed 8 cameras, 9 cameras. If activists will place much more, of course, we can get a lot of things that we cannot even dream of. So I don't know where this could go, but I know that from our experience, the footage tends to be more emotional and informative. I mean, let's say if you want to prove that some facility is using electric probes, or it does something and you have a camera on the ceiling of that facility or somewhere high, you will probably get much more information about how this place works than if you just see the whole voyage through the lens, through the view of one animal. It's more emotional, less informative. Footage might be less graphic than what you usually know from investigations. And legal issues. So it's legal in Israel. We do it and we stand behind it. I mean, Sentient overtly says we did this investigation and it wasn't challenged legally. But of course, different countries have different rules and you need to check the way also that you use the tool also, of course, is very important with the countries and the specific, with the specific laws in that country. Okay. So what are the different uses to this tool, the camera that we put on animals and we get the transmission live, cellular, on our smartphones? You can place this camera on many kinds of animals. We did it on pigs and sheep and cows, but it can be other animals as well, not only farmed animals, not only animals in the slaughter industry. You can place it in different different locations. It can be in a farm. It can be anywhere on the way to slaughter. So you have a lot of options here. You can even put it on the truck, not on the animal, just on the truck, so it views a lot of animals. Or you can put it inside a cage of birds. So we put a camera inside a cage of chickens going to slaughter, and they took the cage to the slaughter itself. So we actually saw the slaughter also. It can be used also by an undercover investigator working in a facility. So let's say during his last day. So we talked about number 4, I think, right? Filming different animals, meat industry, dairy industry, even companion animals and wild animals, as long as the animal is big enough, they don't feel the camera. It's light enough that they don't feel it. But of course, I wouldn't do it to a very small animal like a chicken. Even I think in farm sanctuaries, it's interesting to see how they live, and then maybe compare. This is how it is in the slaughter industry, and this is how it is in the farm sanctuaries. Filming different parts, and you can also live stream this footage to your social media. You can even do that, a live investigation. So a little bit about the specifics of the camera. I won't go into it deeply. So it's 140 degrees angle. It uses 4G, cellular reception. The resolution can be changed. It can be low. It can be 1080, but it depends on the reception. If you have low reception, you might not get a video at all, or you might get a video with low resolution. The battery can last for about 4 to 6 hours, but you can also have a larger battery, and you can also use standby mode, which means if now I know there's nothing interesting, I can put it on standby and continue to film like after 10 hours, 20 hours, etc. Limitations, so signal strength, that's the biggest thing you have to remember. It's not reception that is good enough to speak on the phone, right? Or to send someone an SMS. It's video transmission. You need better reception. And some places have good reception. Some places you get nothing. You just don't have a good enough reception. And some places you get footage, but it's low quality. Detection. So we camouflage those cameras. It's not perfect. It depends on a few factors. But it can be detected, and indeed some cameras were detected during the voyage. Battery life, of course, you're limited with that. And reliability, generally speaking, undercover cameras are not the most reliable thing. Sometimes they don't work. You can ask any investigator about that. Everyone has horror stories, how the camera didn't work in the most important second. So that's also an issue with this camera, but generally, I think, with undercover footage. And this is something important. If someone's going to use this, and I hope you will, it's a statistical tool. Its success depends on quantity, not quality, quantity. Because you put it on an animal, a lot of things can happen. You can go to a place without reception. The camera can fall. Many things can happen. It's like you're putting a camera and going away and coming back to take the camera. So you need to put a few cameras in order to get the footage that you want. You cannot expect, okay, I put one camera, I'm going to get the best footage, that's enough. No. The more you put, the better it is. And the good thing about it, that it doesn't need to be hard to do that. You don't need to be an investigator. You don't need to get inside places in any way. So making a camera on animal, how do you make it? I'm not going to say it here and go to the details, but if someone wants to know, please contact me and we will tell you. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. But let's talk a bit about the in-field. What's happening practically in the field when you're trying to choose the right target. So while cameras can be used in various scenarios, based on our experience, these conditions are important. If you use it when animals are in grouping, so you have a lot of animals together, prioritize places with reception, we talked about it a lot, and there are some timing constraints trying to put the camera where you think that the interesting footage or interesting stage will be soon, not like in 2-3 days. Safety issues, there are a few. Of course, you're welcome to, I advise anyone who wants to use this tool to contact me, and we'll, of course, give you a much more detailed guide about how to do it. We'll explain to you much more in details. But when you reach out to the animal with your hand, of course, you have to be careful. It can be crushed if the animal is going back. So that's an issue. And generally be responsible. I mean, always, if you have an option and you see it's not the best one, you can always wait for the next one. That's the good thing about it. You have many, many opportunities. Use this method in diverse ways. So you can use it in different geographical locations. You can change the location of activity. You can look for places that activists are already doing something similar or, in regular contact with the animals. You can place several cameras simultaneously. You can improve the camouflage, and you can also, at a certain stage, do it overtly. Even if the place knows that you're doing it, that can work as well. We put a few cameras that went again and again into the same facility. So what are practically the options? So you can build your own camera on animal, and we can tell you how to do that, of course, for free. You can order cameras from us that are already camouflaged or without the final camouflage. Please contact us for that. Every camera costs about $65, and this will also be the price if you purchase them yourself. We advise someone who wants to use that to pick this option. Buy them from us. It will be much easier, and then going forward, maybe you can make them yourself afterwards. But the easiest thing is just to start with something that is prepared and it doesn't require much from you. And you can also contact us for a joint field investigations. We're doing that also, doing joint investigations of camera and animal and other tools that we develop together with different groups. I want to say something now more general, I think, about the idea, the concept behind this tool, which is not only relevant to this tool. So let me start with telling you a bit about Danny. So as I said, okay, this is connected to this tool. Danny is a cow that I followed for 6 hours. You see this ear tag? That's his number. And on the other side, his real number. And on the other side, you have his name, Danny. And he really influenced me, because we were together for 6 hours. And I got to know his character a little bit. Like, for example, he's a very frightened bull. And he runs away from every little touch. So even if they do him like this, he runs away in the slaughter line. But the bull in front of him was not like that. When he got scared, he froze and he didn't move. So they probed him with an electric probe again and again in the anus, to hurt him. And this is how he moved. But my camera was not on him. I saw it, but my camera was on Danny. And I followed him. He was born, by the way, in the dairy industry. Now, I use the story of Danny, and I use the story of particular animals to tell their story, but it's also to tell the macro story. So you can take the micro story on the individual and use it to tell the bigger story. So, for example, with Danny, I say, look, he was born in the dairy industry. And then I can tell about the connection between dairy and meat. Or there is another calf that came from Portugal. I know by the number and by what is written on his ear tag. So I explain about the live export through Tomer. His name is Tomer. I say, you see this calf? He came from Portugal. And when I talk to people, when I explain them about the slaughter industry, sometimes I use like the regular strategy. Did you hear what's happened to the animals? And sometimes I tell them, people on the street, I did this. I tell them, did you hear the story of Danny? And they're like, who the fuck is Danny? And I'm like, okay, let me tell you who's Danny. And then I put up my phone on tablet and show him what happened to Danny. And they see Danny through my eyes because I have a personal connection with him. I followed him. And then from that, I explained to them generally also about the whole industry and what's happening. So the camera on animal is much more than a tool. It's a concept that highlights the individual. And now forget about this tool. Think that if you want to use this concept, you can speak to people from the individual point of view without using this tool. Let's say there is a cow you saw on a dairy farm, and you came again and again and visit her like twice or 3 times. You have some connection with her. You can use her to talk to people about what's happening in the slaughter industry. Or you have an animal in a farm sanctuary that you know, and it has a name. It's very important that animals will have a name, and every animal that we place camera on, we give it a name. So you can use this animal to tell them about the whole atrocity of the meat industry. Creating individual stories, I don't think we have enough of these in our movement. Actually, I don't think we have it at all, except for farm sanctuaries. They are the only ones who are doing that. And I think it's missing. It's not like that with any other atrocity. Like if you think about a war, can it be that they cover the war in Ukraine and don't tell any story of any individual? Just like the statistics, 500,000 people were killed, and no, you always have specific stories of individuals. It brings me back to what my teacher said, right? You don't have anyone to interview. So we need to interview them. It's hard, but it's possible. So we talked about that. And another thing I want to say, so we call it individual point of view outreach. Individual POV outreach, when you come to someone and your outreach is from the point of view of one individual that you chose. Like for me, it's Danny. For you, it can be anyone. And exposing the victimizers. What about connecting the victimizers, the companies that are hurting animals? What about connecting them to a specific individual? So think about a title like it's a fictional title. Not like Milka, the milk brand. Milka is torturing animals. No, Milka wants to kill Danny, this specific animal, or Kylie, or whatever it is. Milka wants to kill Kylie. Suddenly it's different. I don't know to say if it's a good strategy, if it's a bad strategy. Maybe in some places it is, maybe in some places it isn't. But I think it's an interesting look. You connect the company to an individual, not just to the whole industry. And I think personalization is in our favor. I want to finish, and then we'll have some Q&As, with a quote from Yuval Noah Harari, the historian, who said, "Humans control the planet because they are the only animal that can cooperate both flexibly and in very large numbers." So I think us as animal rights activists, we have to cooperate much more flexibly in order to win this battle. We don't have the large numbers yet. We're growing. But flexibility of cooperation is very, very important, and I don't think we put a lot of emphasis about that. And sharing knowledge, it starts with sharing our knowledge and our information. So share your ideas with me and with everybody. And here is my signal and email, and now I'll be happy to hear from you.
Thank you for your time. Probably we just have 2 minutes for one question because we run late. Is there any questions? So the first one who puts up their hands, they're going to get. Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I was a bit reluctant because there was only the one question, but okay. So where is it possible to do the joint investigation? So what countries, what areas of Europe or the world is it possible to do that?
Anywhere. We work internationally anywhere. Of course, it depends on the intelligence and the specific needs. And if we are the best fit to do it, other organizations can do it as well. Our goal is not that we will do it, but just to allow the whole animal rights community to do it wherever they think it's strategically wise and good. But for us, technically, it can be anywhere. Anywhere.
Thank you, Ronen. Give it up, Ronen.
And thank you, and I'll just say, because we're out of time, if anyone has questions, of course, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available, and you have my email and all of that. Thanks.